see you, Alan. Good to see you. Glad everybody is here. Regina, did I see? Couldn't see somebody. Was it Claire that came in? I don't know. Hey, Robin, Alan, good to see you. Shannon, good morning. Good morning, Noelle. Thank you for inviting your followers. Let me see if, does anybody know if YouTube is up yet? I don't see my YouTube people. I hope they're on. Hey, Clara, good to see you. That was you. All right, Regina, good to see you. Could somebody check and see if YouTube is on? See if YouTube, there it is. Okay, hey, Loretta. I was just getting worried there for a moment. So YouTube is on. Perfect. Thank you, Robin. All right, I'm going to read just a little bit of Psalm 15 before we get started. Lord, who may abide in your tabernacle? Who may dwell in your holy hill? He who walks uprightly and works righteousness and speaks the truth in his heart. He who does not backbite with his tongue, nor does evil to his neighbor, nor does he take up a reproach against his friend, in whose eyes a vile person is despised, but he honors those who fear the Lord. He who swears to his own hurt and does not change. He who does not put out his money at usury, nor does he take a bribe against the innocent. He who does these things shall never be moved. Amen, amen. Hey, Sassy, good to see you. All right, I see that my Cloud Hub is up and working too. Very good, very good. Love the rally there this weekend. Oh, Clara, it was so great. It was so great. Before I get to talking about that, let me quickly ask for just a moment in prayer that we're doing for the next, until August 4th in regards to California. So let me go ahead and lead that prayer if I can. Hey, Nina. God, we would ask that you make a huge movement in California, God, that you would remove the governor of California as governor of California in whatever way, God, that you deem your will be done. And we ask, God, that he would be saved. We ask that all of our leaders in California would either be abiding and following your will, or they would be removed also, God. And we ask for your protection in California. We ask that the churches remain open. We ask that you especially bless and protect Pastor Jack Hibbs, Pastor Tim Thompson, and those even outside of California who are willing to take a stand, like Pastor J.D. Farag, and all of the other pastors, God, who are taking a stand to open the churches and to do your will instead of their own, God. In Jesus Christ's name I pray, amen. All right, amen, amen, amen. Now, in case you weren't, hey, Brian, good morning. In case you didn't hear it, you may want to go and look up J.D. Farag. Hey, Fringe. He had a 1-hour prophecy update devoted specifically to QAnon. Hey, Cully. It was titled The Great Awakening, and you can find that on YouTube. Just go look up J.D. Farag, F-A-R-A-G. This is a special message, I would say, to Christians especially, but to everyone. You'll want to hear that 1 hour devoted specifically to QAnon called The Great Awakening on his YouTube channel. Good morning, Loretta. Good morning, James R.R. Good morning, Barbara, Facebook user. Melanie Peters. Good morning, John Mott. Hope you had a great weekend. I did, Melanie. Thank you. I hope you did too. Hey, good morning, Dawn Erickson. Stephanie Crow, good morning. But it'll answer, I think, all of your questions. Hey, Motown. I think that it will answer all of the questions for you, and you'll probably want to pass that along to other people. Hey, Chicago Pops. Hey, Barbara. But again, it's J.D. Farag on YouTube. Okay. Let's get to some breaking news. The Republican Missouri Governor Mike Parson told a radio host this morning that he's likely to pardon, or maybe that was yesterday when he did it, but he's likely to pardon the St. Louis couple if they are charged with brandishing guns during a racial injustice protest outside of their mansion. So we have people who are, other people are on Facebook, Barbara. I don't know why you couldn't do it, but who knows. So that's good news that they're going to be pardoned by the governor, most likely based on the information that he has so far. It looks like that to him, he did nothing wrong. they did nothing wrong. Hello, Elaine. Elaine is back. Yeah, good for that governor. And of course, that governor is a Republican, because if it were a Democrat governor, we wouldn't be doing any of that. McCloskey should be given awards. Yeah. Got me and my mom hooked on Pastor Farag. Good, Melanie. I'm glad. And Melanie, let me get you hooked on Pastor Jack Hibbs too. You really need to be following and listening to the messages from Pastor Jack Hibbs. You can go to Real Jack Hibbs on YouTube to follow him there, or look him up on Facebook as well. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Deborah. Good morning, Wanda. And good morning, Paula. It's good to see everybody. And let me see over here. Okay, perfect. All right. Now, also the DA in St. Louis should be removed. Yeah, well, that goes without saying. That's just somebody who has a political agenda, Cully, as we know. Breaking this morning is also that Lieutenant Colonel Alan West has been elected the chairman of the Republican Party of Texas. So congratulations to him, and congratulations on him being voted in for that position. People in Texas, you're looking at, some people are looking at Texas now as a swing vote rather than a solid red vote. Ted Cruz was talking about that this morning. That is a scary position for Texas to be in. So starting to sound a little bit like California and Oregon and some of those places. So that's not good. Also, oh boy, I forgot to share this morning. So let me do that quickly before I forget again. There's too many things, two buttons I have to push when I go on, blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of forget sometimes. Inviting in the Cloud Hub people. So if you haven't done so, please, if you would, share to everybody and invite your followers in as well. All right. Took care of that. All right. Now, so in other news, Oxford University, who's developing a vaccine with AstraZeneca, shows promising results in early human trials, prompts a protective immune response in people. Hey, sunshine. We already have a natural herd immunity, but they don't want you to have that, I suppose. COVID-19, again, has about a 97 to 99% recovery rate, and yet we still keep pushing forward on getting that vaccine, even though it appears at this point we don't need it. It appears also, as you may recall, that numbers have been skewed. Numbers have been counted incorrectly. Paul Sperry, who is part of the Federalists, I believe, he had a breaking news yesterday. It said health officials from dozen states have mistakenly lumped positive results from antibody tests in with viral results for COVID-19 in reporting to the CDC, inflating new cases. A positive antibody test could mean you were infected with a virus from the same corona family that causes the common cold. Numbers in all U.S. states should be audited. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. No doubt about it. Numbers, looking at like Riverside County in California, man, the numbers were so low and people are shut down tighter than a drum, really, in Riverside. They're doing it for political reasons. It can't be any other reasons that they're doing it. I mean, yes, there are some mistakes that are made, and some people probably doing it for fraudulent, for fraudulent reasons. But they need to go in. They do need to audit. They need to find out what's going on. Melanie said, wouldn't take a vaccine if I was given $1 million. Yep. Good morning, Charlotte Woods. Good morning, Susan from Charlotte Woods in Alabama. Texas has been flooded with libs from California. Yep, John, they have. And the problem is when libs come over from California, they forget why they fled California and they bring that with them. So it's up to you in California up to you in Texas to keep the people in California, keep reminding them of why they're there. Hey, Elgin in Texas, keep reminding them why they are there and keep reminding them that you don't want their liberal policies in your state. Good morning, James Powell. Pray you have a blessed week. Thank you, James. You too. Did you see the nurse telling her story about COVID in New York? Yes, I did. Clara and that nurse in New York talking about what she saw and what she heard. She has allegedly, which I listened to, audio tapes, and she does some videos of some information. And already we have the left attacking her and saying that what she has said is all bogus. It didn't happen. She was wrong, blah, blah, blah. And then we have Diamond and Silk, who ran what she said as well. So I tend to believe her, but and I've seen one guy who claims to be a doctor and he acts kind of unusual coming out against her. So many reports of positive COVID results for people who have only made appointments for the test, Motown said. So, yeah, same for Arizona. Yeah, I do too, Clara said. Yeah, you know, there's sometimes when your gut just tells you that something feels right and it's not outlandish or whatever. I believe the nurse watched it yesterday. Robin said, yeah, I do too. The only thing she has to lose, right, by coming out and talking about that, she's probably never going to work again as a nurse, would be my guess. So she kind of lost everything by doing that. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit. This weekend, I went to a freedom rally with Recall Gavin Newsom. Hello, BC. And it was just really excellent. Melanie said, I'm a nurse. Aren't most doctors unusual? You would know better than me, Melanie, because you're around them all day. But the freedom rally was so nice. Oh, my gosh. It was held on a private residence. It was on a ranch, actually. There were a guesstimate of about 5,000 people that showed up. And for California, that's really good. There were a ton. I attended Bible study with soon-to-be nurse. She said the reporting numbers are all messed up. Yeah, they are, Brian. We know that, right? We don't have to be told that. But there were a ton of motorcyclists there from different motorcycle groups. Loved it. Love to see them. I think that's why it remained peaceful without people showing up. I think there was one BLM member holding a sign, you know, I don't even know what it read because I didn't even care, kind of down the road a little bit. And we had different speakers there. Dr. Barkey was there, who knows, he's from Orange County. He knows about the numbers with COVID, and he knows how ridiculous they are. We had other people from the state government there talking and on and on. What I liked about it is that we had people who were carrying on normal activities. I think in all of the people, I saw one person wearing a mask. People were actually shaking hands with each other. People were not cowering in the corners. They were talking about what was important. They were talking about what was coming. Hey, Danielle. They were talking about what needed to be done in the school system, how we take back our schools, how we do this and that. And that was really great. And I'll tell you, it was just nice to be around like-minded people where you were able to just be normal again. I mean, it was so great. It was about 91 degrees. I think if COVID wanted to be there, it probably couldn't even show up if it wanted to. And again, it was just, it was great remembering what it felt like to be normal. Don't mess with the biker gang, especially the Mongols. Yeah. I've never seen so many motorcycles in my whole life, and I loved it. And there were men with, arms about this big, like tree trunks, you know what I'm saying? And it was just great. And people were, there were Trump flags, there were American flags. Humans are designed to have contact. Yeah, I shook hands with somebody like for the first time and was like, oh my gosh, wait, I just shook hands with somebody. Woo! It was like something I've never done before. It was like doing it for the first time when that should be what we're doing all the time. And thank God again for people like Pastor Jack Hibbs, who opened his church once again, who defied the laws that go against the Bible and opened his church once again, encouraged other pastors to open their churches once again. And he set up something for people who still don't feel comfortable. Hey, Karen, going back into the church. He had this entire area outside with kind of an overhang where people could go outside and sit there if they wanted to. And there's another area, and you can also go inside. So he's accommodating everybody in every which way that wanted to be at church and wanted to be together, but were afraid to be together. Now, as I'm seeing more and more, people are wearing the mask. They are walking 1 foot, 2 feet apart from people who aren't in their own families. So obviously that doesn't work. It doesn't work. And they're forgetting what the governor said here is that even if you're wearing a mask, you should remain 6 feet apart as much as possible and don't be with people from outside of your own family. So people are just either forgetting, they don't care, or they're tired of it. That doesn't mean that the stores aren't still doing they're still not letting people in unless they're wearing a mask. I haven't tried going in lately without a mask. I was yelled at and ridiculed in front of a whole bunch of people the last time I tried to do that. But what I do now is I just go in and I simply put my mask underneath my nose and I breathe the air that God gave us. So, gangsta, we don't speak any other language but English, so I have no idea what you're saying, sweetie. All right. Now, in other news, last night, horrible news out of New Jersey. New Jersey federal judge Esther Salas's 20-year-old son went to answer the door, and he was shot and killed at the door. Her husband was also shot. Last I heard, he was in critical condition. A man was reportedly wearing a FedEx uniform, came to the door, shot her son dead, and horrible. Her husband is a defense attorney and former Essex County assistant prosecutor, and she last week was just assigned a class action lawsuit by a group of investors filed against Deutsche Bank, contending that the firm failed to flag questionable transactions that were made from the account of Jeffrey Epstein. So I have no idea if this has any connection with Epstein. I would think it's possible. It's possible that it was intended that, number one, there was either a warning to her, could have been somebody who was a disgruntled criminal that the husband represented. I mean, that's possible too. Could have been just some weirdo off the street. That's possible. There's so many things that could be possible, but you can't not take into account that she was assigned to the Epstein case. So they should be looking at all of that information to find out who that person was. She wasn't injured because she was down in the basement at the time of the shooting. That's probably the only reason that she's still alive. That was an absolute hit, Stephanie said. Yep, Cheryl said it sounds like a hit. Yeah, does to me too. So they're going to be looking at all of that. I think it's been assigned to the FBI already. It would be automatically, in my opinion, but I mean, horrible. I will say that it looks like, Haley, that we're just beginning to get more and more stories like this, more and more violence in our country. You have to really stay aware. Chicago had another shoot 'em up weekend, 70 shot, 10 killed, Cully said. It's about every weekend, about the same thing. And some of you had mentioned, meet with Ernie, the reason masks can't be enforced, the author cannot be the enforcer. Well, I think I understand what you were saying, BC, but they what they'll do is they'll ask you to leave the private property. That, for example, like in Walmart. And I still think that's iffy because you open it up to, have you been watching on YouTube but can't comment? Oh, okay, Lee. Let's see, why was the violence in rioting increased? Why has it increased? Because it's getting closer to the election and BLM is getting involved in more of it. I forget what I was going to say. Sorry. I got distracted. Now I don't remember. Another thing, people were talking about Michelle Malkin. There's some video online of her. Just go to her Twitter feed at Michelle Malkin. She was trying to give a speech at the Back the Blue rally in Colorado when these Antifa thugs, it looked like, came out. One woman, it looked like a woman, I'm not sure anymore, but whatever, it looked like a woman, was holding a baton that was about this long. And she had a strap around it, and she was hitting people with it, supposedly. Michelle got pushed around. Other people got pushed around. Shouldn't the federal government stop the murders and the rioting? Sunshine, it's state's job to do that. I watched the whole event. She's got great video of that. Yeah, she does, Robin. I don't know how to make this more clear to everybody. I say this, it seems like about every day. States have rights under the 10th Amendment. You can't just come in from the federal government anytime you feel like it because you want to do it. It's called states' rights. And you have to give them an opportunity, and you give them assistance if they ask for it, or if there are things like federal buildings, federal statute, things like that being impacted, then the federal government can act. For example, those people in Portland that nobody likes there, snatching people off the street. Most of those people are there because of the feds. The buildings have been, they've been given warnings, that something was going to happen to the buildings or something was going to happen to the statutes on federal property. And that's when the feds can act. Otherwise, they need for the states to say, we need your help. Come on in, feds. Or if they're violating federal law, then the feds can do it. But you can't just walk in because you feel like it as a president and take over states' rights. It's unconstitutional. We wouldn't have wanted Obama to do it. We don't want Trump to do it. Stuff like this really upsets me. Satan is alive and well. Absolutely, Melanie. Noel said, I'm pretty irritated at the so-called patriots in the crowd just standing there. Cops were useless. Yeah, I don't know if the cops saw it for Michelle Malkin. I don't know if they saw it and ignored it or if they were given a stand down. She did call out the police chief for having locked arms with and marched with protesters about a week beforehand. Over the weekend, Chicago mayor slams police for doing their job and showed support for demonstrators. No doubt. Did you see Christian Bevelin Beatty? Is it Beatty? I guess the name is, or Beatty. Paint over the 3 BLM Street paintings de Blasio has in New York City. I did, Motown. She did. I saw at least 2. One she did in Harlem. One she did in New York City somewhere. And she painted black paint over everything. And it was so funny. The reaction of some of the black people who like the Black Lives Matter painting on the street. Those people came over to her like, stop it. Why are you doing that? Why are you destroying that? Stop it. Stop it. Wait a minute. Hold up. You're going to stop her from destroying property? Did you stop the looters from destroying property? Did you stop those people, let's say in Portland, who burned things down over the weekend? So when it's your property or when you think you have a stake in it or it's something you like, don't burn it down, don't destroy it. But when it's something that, she wants to do, which before you probably, if it were, with your cause, you would be out there, congratulating her. But because you like BLM, you're like, oh, don't do that. Well, wait, you can't have it both ways, can you? Yeah. Chicago Pop Union asked feds to step in. There you go. Oh, Chicago Police Union asked the feds to step in. And if the federal, I don't know if the federal union, if the union can ask the feds to step in, I think it has to be more than just the police union, but I don't know. It may need to be the mayor. It may need to be the police department, or both, or at least the mayor. Brought tears to my eyes, Motown said. The painting the BLM was okay, but someone covering what not okay. Susan, you just hit the nail on the head, Elaine said. She said police treated her wonderful and they were on her side. Yeah, Noelle, I heard that. The mayors and governors need to enforce laws passed by the citizens of those areas, Rocky said. Yeah. And she did say, Evelyn said she couldn't talk much about it because she didn't want the police to get in trouble. But the police they agreed with her. They were very much on her side. And they said that they were afraid to do anything because, afraid to arrest people because afraid of getting investigated and getting in trouble and all that. They can't even do their job. Now, I will say what Evelyn did was illegal. It is. It's vandalizing property of some sort, so she's probably going to have some charges against her. And so people were saying, why are they arresting her? Because she's doing something that, is in favor of the police. Well, she broke the law. That's all there is to it. and also painting BLM in the streets if they didn't have permission to do it, which it looks like they did because they're all straight lines and professionally done. That would be against the law too. You can't just do things that you want to. While I like what her lawyer has tweeted, that he's representing her pro bono. Good, Fringe. She's taking a stand, so we'll see where it goes. Why didn't she use spray paint? Well, I think it made a big difference by her just throwing buckets of paint on there. Hey, Sally, I loved how the police let her finish up before arresting them. I know, it was, Sally. You could see they're like, oh, come here. Stop. Oh, stop. And they would just like let her go back to it. So, yeah, misdemeanor, it was worth it. More on politicians sign permits for BLM murals. Yeah, Elfie, I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. So I don't know. Can anybody go to Clout Hub and try to chat online right there? Because I don't know if my chat's on today, which would be bad, but I don't see any chats this morning taking place. Thank you, Sally. That was great. Slow arrest. I know it was. And the officer who got hurt, they said that he's okay. So that's good news too. He slipped on the paint. Unfortunately, that was a little unfortunate thing, but nobody caused that. He just slipped on the paint. Okay. Flynn's judges are still fighting the battle against Judge Emmett Sullivan. They filed a motion against, basically saying no federal circuit has countenanced rehearing of a mandamus on petition by district court. It was a 29-page motion filed in the Federal Court of Appeals. Something didn't sound right in the way you said stop. I'm driving and listening, Clara said. Okay, Clara. Judge Sullivan has no cognizable interest in the case. Rehearing should be denied because the panel properly applied the longstanding use of mandamus to which General Flynn is clearly entitled. So we'll see where that goes. I knew this judge was going to hang on tooth and nail. Also, I wrote an article today at SusanKnowles.com. SusanKnowles.com. I'm trying to talk too quickly, so it kind of runs my words together. But it's about the couple in Hardin County, Kentucky. That basically, here's what they say happened. The woman says that she wanted to go visit her mom, and her grandparents wanted to see her while she was there. So she decided, I'm going to go get tested for COVID just so I'm sure that everything's okay and that my grandparents will be okay too. So she got the test. She tested positive. So the health department showed up at her house and wanted her to sign a piece of paper that says she agrees not to leave her house until she calls them. And so she wouldn't be able, according to her, wouldn't be able to go anywhere without calling the public health department and letting them know that she wanted to go someplace. Now, they told her, sign this. She said, no, I'm not going to do it because it was way too much what they were asking. And they said she got a text message from them and saying, okay, since you didn't comply, basically, where the law enforcement is going to get involved. So I guess like the next day or something, her husband was coming home from work and he is met at the door by the public health department and about 7 other sheriff's deputies, something of that nature. They said there were 8 people there and the health department guy was in a suit with a mask on. And they handed each, the husband, wife, and the daughter, don't know how old the daughter was or is, they didn't say, and handed each one a Cloud Hub chat is on from my end. Okay, thanks, Loretta. I'm not seeing any comments being written into the Cloud Hub chat, so that's unusual. So I'm just wondering if it's turned off for some reason. So they were all given this, and they were placed in ankle monitors. They're not allowed to go more than, I'm not seeing any of the comments on Cloud Hub whatsoever. So if they're there, it's not registering for me at all, which is really bad. So they can't go further than 200 feet from their house or an alarm goes off and the police are called. And I'm guessing between 0 and 199 feet that you can't get infected with COVID-19, right? Like, so if you get to that 200 mark, that's when the police are going to be called, because God knows when you reach that 200 feet, COVID then starts attacking you, right? Now, and keep in mind, this woman says that she had no symptoms whatsoever, and that she was okay with kind of staying at home and low key, but she didn't want to agree to not going out without calling the public health department. And so when they went to court, she claims that the public health department told the judge that she refused to, hey, JVA, that she refused to self-quarantine. And she said that's absolutely not true. Yeah. So anyway, well, here's what we know now, right? Based on what Kentucky did. Stay 200 feet away. I kept that stupid tracker off, Ellen said. Stay 200 feet, like 199 feet away, and you're going to be okay from COVID, right? But if you go 200 feet, if you go anything less than that or whatever, you're going to, or beyond that, I guess you're going to be in trouble. I don't know. And they were having no symptoms reported. That's right, Paula, no symptoms. So this is what's coming, people. If you think this is only happening in Kentucky and, oh my gosh, that's just silly little Kentucky with their Democratic governor. I mean, I thought it was 6 feet. Yeah, exactly. Well, Sally, that was yesterday. It's going to happen. And I honestly can't believe some of what's happening is crazy. It is, Lee. And they're going to seek an attorney, so they said. Yeah, neighbor sees an ankle bracelet just telling me you robbed a bank. That's right, BC. Yeah. So, and also remember, I know a lot of you, I've seen people started putting up things on Facebook like, hey, Grateful Mike, for example, if you have been with me and you test positive for COVID-19, you do not have my permission to tell a contact tracer that you were with me. I'm so worried. Is Trump on our side? I'm getting Robin. Why are you concerned? President Trump is doing what he can do as a president. He cannot walk all over states' rights. I say good luck to them fighting liberal Louisville. So, yeah. Those people who have tested positive for COVID, I think this happened in New York, who refused to tell people who they were around, have now each of them gotten a subpoena. Did you see the Hawaii Story couple order they can't sleep together? Try to get that one done. Oh my God, Kelly, that's crazy. I didn't see that one. You'd have to send that source to me because that sounds a little far-fetched, but it is the world that we live in today. So it may just absolutely be true. But anyway, they subpoenaed those people that would not give up that information to the contact tracers, and they were going to pursue them legally. So if somebody comes to you, you're around somebody and they come to you as a contact tracer, they'll get that information from you one way or the other. I think it's totally illegal. I think if that happened to me, I would contact an attorney, a civil rights attorney, and everybody else that I could think of. My friend's husband tested positive. Then she and her daughter were counted. They were never positive. Yeah, of course. And I've heard they do that, Barbara, that if you're around somebody who tested positive, they'll count you. I totally support Trump, but want to make sure we aren't played to a question. Yeah, Robin, does it really matter if we're being played? I'm not saying that we are, but what are you going to do if we are being played? What are you going to do? Like, what are all of us going to do about what is happening to us? We cannot continue to sit by and watch it happen and say, oh my gosh, that was horrible. Oh my gosh, that was horrible. Okay, I'll do this if this happens. You may want to go and look at makeamericans.freeagain.com and see if that's something that you want to join. Get involved, go to freedom rallies, go to other things, get involved. The time is, it maybe have already passed for us to do anything, but if on the offset or the chance that it is not too late, we have to do everything that we possibly can legally to get back our rights. If you still believe that you are free in America, then you might as well click off of this program and go someplace else, because your freedoms have been taken from you, and they're continuing to be taken from you each and every day. The longer you wear a mask, the more you obey, your freedoms are gone. So I'm not telling you to disobey. I'm telling you to follow God, do what you're supposed to, do what you're called to do, warn people about what's going on. Stephanie said, we're living in a nightmare. Yes, still a lot more to listen to, John said. Sorry, stepped away to listen to JD. Very good. Well, how dare you, John? How dare you? Listen, yeah, please listen to JD after the show. That would be great. That would be great. We're probably at the halfway point. Maybe we're beyond it. I have no idea. I didn't look. If you could begin with all of your followers and invite them in, that would be great. Yeah, I've just, I've given up the illusion that all is well, and this will be over really soon, and I have not been around anyone. We're being lied to every day, but it's Trump or communism. Yep, I did see the video of General Flynn, 2016, where he says he wants to stop socialism. It's actually communism, Robin, but yep. Wrote letters to the mayor and governor this morning. Good for you, Sally. Yes, they are, Susan. Sally said, I know it worries me in Alabama. We are fined, which is crazy that I would be talking to an attorney. I want everyone I've lost friends for reposting Trump stuff to wake up. Yeah, well, you know what, Robin? They weren't your friends to begin with, if you lost them over that. And I'm of the mindset is I don't. If I lose friends, okay, so what? I'm doing what I feel God wants me to do, and if my friends don't like it, that's okay, because I don't have to stand in front of them on the final judgment day. I have to stand in front of God. I can't see this being over anytime soon. Lee, it's not going to be over. It's not. Pennsylvania, the state senators getting ready to impeach the governor. Good. Well, one is my son, Robin said. They were with me 4 days, and we went everywhere, masked, but at some boutique, small business with, expect a contact tracer to come to your house probably pretty soon, Barbara, and tell you to quarantine. So, okay. New thing happening today, just this wonderful stuff. People finally get their jobs back. And so today, supposedly, we're supposed to have tens of thousands of workers across the whole United States walking off of their jobs today in protest of what they argue is the country's systemic racism and economic inequality. So if I don't make a couple $1 million a year and you've got a couple $1 million a year, then basically, we can't have that. I want your millions. I'm entitled to your millions just because. Okay. Anyway, so for those of you who are fortunate enough to have your job, they're going to expect you to walk off the job today in strike for Black Lives is what the movement is called. They said that some essential workers are expected to participate in the strike, including a number of nursing home employees who should be there taking care of their patients, janitors, delivery men and women, airport workers, rideshare drivers, and fast food employees. At noon in the U.S. in each time zone, so whenever it's 12 o'clock your time, strike participants will take a knee for around 9 minutes. So if in your office you see somebody who's taking a knee, I don't know if that means you're supposed to have a seat on their knee or walk around them, ask them to move. I don't know. But that's the amount of time that prosecutors say that Officer Chauvin had his knee on George Floyd's neck. My husband is working today. He takes a knee for God. Exactly, Robin. That might leave a black mark on their record, Alan said. Good. Congratulations. So let's see. There's a reason for tests were free and they were told everyone to take it to use as a weapon against us. Absolutely, Cheryl. And I told people that was coming. I don't make enough money, so I'm going to take a day off, Ruth said. Exactly. I'm doing what the military is doing, not being tested. My son was out on field ops and over 50 plus people came down with COVID and they aren't testing them. Didn't see anything about it in the paper. Official daily count. Yep. I have one real friend, Ruth said, that's God. Ask those that can take a knee if you can pray with them. Renee said. I'm sure that will go over really well. But yeah, that would be a good thing. Someone forces mass report violations of your civil rights to William Barr. Yeah, I don't know that Barr's taking any phone calls, because I haven't heard anything going on at all about people's civil rights being violated. And remember, again, it's not as black and white as you think it is. It really isn't. Each state has a constitution. Each state's constitution says that the governor can and can't do certain things. And also your constitutional rights can be burdened as long as they are not unduly burdened. And some states are saying, the appellate court of course, the Ninth Circuit in California has said, for example, having a church closed, but you can do that, Governor, but you at least have to allow them to drive in, right? And have a service outside. And in fact, I'll take that back a little bit. They never made a decision on whether or not the churches could close, because the churches actually dropped their lawsuits before that happened. Now, there are 3 churches that just recently filed a lawsuit in Northern California regarding the very issue about whether or not a governor can close your church. And again, I say to all the pastors listening out there, please, I beg of you, in the name of Jesus Christ, to follow God's law when there is a contradiction between man's law and God's principles. You are to follow God's laws, not man's laws. And you, as a pastor, are going to be held to a higher standard than I am. When you stand before God, you are going to have to account to God why you kept your church closed, why you didn't assemble as the Bible told you to, why you misled your flock and didn't at least have an outside service in your church. There are churches that are still closed, that aren't even meeting anywhere, that aren't even meeting anywhere on campus, anywhere nearby. You can't tell me that that is God's rule for you to follow, God's law. That is so against everything in the Bible. And I implore you to get up there and open your church and ask God for forgiveness. Democrats want to keep schools and churches closed through November elections. There are not going to be any schools open in California. The governor closed down all the schools. They're going to be online only, at least for the first month. And I guarantee you he will keep it going after that, because what is going to happen is we're coming up on, the flu season again. So we'll have another reason that we can't open up. Now, I wanted to tell you really quickly, because I know we're running out of time, a couple more things. People in Idaho, prepare yourself. There are people from Oregon who are fleeing to Idaho. Hopefully those people who are fleeing are more conservative coming into Idaho. There is also there's a rumor going around about COVID-20. And of course that stands for COVID 2020. China is panicking people the world over about viruses. And here's another one. There's an unknown, supposedly, pneumonia sweeping Kazakhstan that was highlighted by the Chinese embassy. They're warning that the death rate of this disease is much higher than the novel coronavirus. Yeah, I know. Idaho is closed. Idaho's moved. The country's health departments are conducting comparative research into the pneumonia virus, but have not yet identified it. Now, Jerome Corsi came out yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, and did a periscope on it. So it's something you should keep your eyes and ears open. If you think that China could only do one thing and not do something else to us, come on. Did I hear Trump is going to Africa with Gates and Fauci for vaccine trials? I didn't hear that. Also, we need to keep our eyes open for bubonic plague reports. Fringe says there has been a report of bubonic plague in Colorado. It supposedly was not contagious, and the person recovered. That was in Colorado. Sometimes, Robin, sometimes the Gateway Pundit is correct. Sometimes the Gateway Pundit is not. So try to find it in another source. Kanye West came out yesterday in his first campaign speech for becoming president. According to, I just looked at a little blurb from Cernovich. He said it went very well. And there are other people who are supposedly backing Trump that went to the rally and seemed to really be on board with Kanye. And a lot of the things that I was seeing, the comments were more anti-Trump, pro-Kanye. And the only thing that I heard Kanye say during that speech, because it was very hard to hear, he didn't have a microphone, he was bouncing all over the place. He said that abortions should remain legal and that he had smoked, referring to marijuana, before coming out on stage. So, people keep saying, well, the family, he's having a bipolar episode and blah, blah, blah. Well, he does this all the time. So he's probably having a bipolar event all of the time then. Kanye's a joke. If people fall for him, they're lost, Robin said. You'd be surprised how many people who claim that they are Christian and claim that they are Republicans. Yeah, I know. Isn't it really odd? I didn't see that Cernovich said that this morning, Fringe, but yesterday on his Periscope, and even the title basically said it went well. I don't know, Alan. I don't know if he lost his religion or not, but I know that some of the people that he hangs around with, for example, the father of Kylie's baby, I can't remember his name, but anyway, he does some really, really dark stuff that doesn't look very Christian-like. And I know Kanye does a lot with him. So can't tell you. All I can tell you is he had a bulletproof vest on as well. All I can tell you is discernment. I guess he restarted his recently suspended campaign. I don't think it was ever suspended. I think that's what the media and his family said, perhaps. But all right, we're in Acts. We left off, I think, around chapter 21. I'm going to start at verse 26. Arrested in the temple. Then Paul took them in, and the next day, having been purified with them, entered the temple to announce the expiration of the days of purification, at which time an offering should be made for each one of them. Now, when the 7 days were almost ended, the Jews from Asia, seeing him in the temple, stirred up the whole crowd and laid hands on him, crying out, "Men of Israel, help! This is a man who teaches all men everywhere against the people, the law, and this place. And furthermore, he also brought Greeks into the temple and has defiled this holy place. For they have previously seen Trophimus, an Ephesian, with him in the city, whom they supposed that Paul had brought into the temple. And all of the city was disturbed, and the people ran together, seized Paul, and dragged him out of the temple. And immediately the doors were shut. Now, as they were seeking to kill him, news came to the commander of the garrison that all Jerusalem was in an uproar. He immediately took soldiers and centurions and ran down to them, and when they saw the commander and the soldiers, they stopped beating Paul. Then the commander came near and took him and commanded him to be bound with 2 chains, and he asked who he was and what he had done, and some among the multitude cried one thing and some another. So when he could not ascertain the truth because of the tumult, he commanded him to be taken into the barracks. When he reached the stairs, he had to be carried by the soldiers because of the violence of the mob, for the multitude of the people followed after, crying out, "Away with him," addressing the Jerusalem mob. Then as Paul was about to be led into the barracks, he said to the commander, "May I speak to you?" He replied, "Can you speak Greek? Are you not the Egyptians who some time ago stirred up a rebellion and led the 4,000 assassins out into the wilderness?" But Paul said, "I am a Jew from Tarsus in Cilicia, a citizen of no mean city, and I implore you, permit me to speak to the people." So when he had given him permission, Paul stood on the stairs and motioned with his hand to the people. And when there was a great silence, he spoke to them in the Hebrew language, saying, chapter 22, "Brethren and fathers, hear my defense before you now." And when they heard that he spoke to them in the Hebrew language, they kept all the more silent. Then he said, "I am indeed a Jew, born in Tarsus of Cilicia, but brought up in this city at the feet of Gamaliel,
taught according to the strictness of our father's law, and was zealous toward God, as you all are today. I persecuted this way to the death, binding and delivering into prisons both men and women, as also the high priest bears me witness, and all the council of the elders, from whom I also received letters to the brethren, and went to Damascus to bring in chains even those who were there to Jerusalem to be punished. Now it happened as I journeyed and came near Damascus at about noon, suddenly a great light from heaven shone above me, around me, and I fell to the ground and heard a voice saying to me, Saul, Saul, why are you persecuting me? So I answered, Who are you, Lord? And he said to me, I am Jesus of Nazareth, whom you are persecuting. And those who were with me indeed saw the light and were afraid, but they did not hear the voice of him who spoke to him. So I said, What shall I do, Lord? And the Lord said to me, Arise and go into Damascus, and there you will be told all things which are appointed for you to do. And since I could not see for the glory of that light, being led by the hand of those who were with me, I came into Damascus. Then a certain Ananias, a devout man according to the law, having a good testimony with all the Jews who dwelt there, came to me, and he stood and said to me, Brother Saul, receive your sight. And at the same hour I looked up at him. Then he said, The God of our fathers has chosen you, that you should know his will and see the just one and hear the voice of his mouth. For you will be his witness to all men of what you have seen and heard. And now why are you waiting? Arise and be baptized and wash away your sins, calling on the name of the Lord. Now it happened when I returned to Jerusalem and was praying in the temple, that I was in a trance and saw him saying to me, Make haste and get out of Jerusalem quickly, for they will not receive your testimony concerning me. So I said, Lord, they know that in every synagogue I imprisoned and beat those who believe on you. And when the blood of your martyr Stephen was shed, I also was standing by, consenting to his death and guarding the clothes of those who were killing him. Then he said to me, Depart, for I will send you far from here to the Gentiles. Paul's Roman citizenship. And they listened to him until this word, and then they raised their voices and said, Away with such a fellow from the earth, for he is not fit to live. Then as they cried out and tore off their clothes and threw dust into the air, the commander ordered him to be brought into the barracks and said he would be examined under scourging, so that he might know why they shouted so against him. And as they bound him with things, Paul said to the centurion who stood by, Is it lawful for you to scourge a man who is Roman and uncondemned? When the centurions heard that, he went and told the commander, saying, Take care what you do, for this man is a Roman. Then the commander came and said to him, Tell me, are you a Roman? He said, Yes. The commander answered, With a large sum I obtained the citizenship. And Paul said, But I was born a citizen. Then immediately those who were about to examine him withdrew from him, and the commander who was also afraid after he found out that he was a Roman, and because he had bound himself. The Sanhedrin divided. The next day, because he wanted to know for certain why he was accused by the Jews, he released him from his bonds and commanded the chief priests and all their council to appear, and brought Paul down and set him before them. Chapter 23. Then Paul, looking earnestly at the council, said, Men and brethren, I have lived in all good conscience before God until this day. And the high priest Ananias commanded those who stood by him to strike him on the mouth. Then Paul said to him, God will strike you, you whitewashed wall, for you sit to judge me according to the law, and do you command me to be struck contrary to the law? And those who stood by said, Do you revile God's high priest? Then Paul said, I did not know, brethren, that he was the high priest, for it is written, You shall not speak evil of a ruler of your people. But when Paul perceived that one part were Sadducees and the other Pharisees, he cried out in the council, Men and women, I am a Pharisee, the son of a Pharisee. Concerning the hope and resurrection of the dead, I am being judged. And when he had said this, a dissension arose between the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and the assembly was divided. For Sadducees say that there is no resurrection, and no angel or spirit, but the Pharisees confess both. Then there arose a loud outcry, and the scribes of the Pharisees' party arose and protested, saying, We find no evil in this man, but if a spirit of an angel has spoken to him, let us not fight against God. Now when there arose a great dissension, the commander, fearing lest Paul might be pulled to pieces by them, commanded the soldiers to go down and take him by force from among them and bring him into the barracks. The plot against Paul. But the following night the Lord stood by him and said, Be of good cheer, Paul, for as you have testified for me in Jerusalem, so you must also bear witness at Rome. And when it was day, some of the Jews banded together and bound themselves under an oath, saying that they would neither eat nor drink till they had killed Paul. Now there were more than 40 who had formed this conspiracy. They came to the chief priests and elders and said, We have bound ourselves under a great oath that we will eat nothing until we have killed Paul. Now you therefore, together with the council, suggest to the commander that he be brought down to you tomorrow, as though you were going to make further inquiries concerning him, but we are ready to kill him before he comes near. So when Paul's sister's son heard of their ambush, she went and entered the barracks and told Paul. Then Paul called one of the centurions to him and said, Take this young man to the commander, for he has something to tell him. So he took him and brought him to the commander and said, Paul, the prisoner, called me to him and asked me to bring this young man to you. He has something to say to you. Then the commander took him by the hand, went aside, and asked privately, What is it that you have to tell me? And he said, The Jews have agreed to ask that you bring Paul down to the council tomorrow, as though they were going to inquire more fully about him. But do not yield to them, for more than 40 of them lie in wait for him, men who have bound themselves by an oath that they will neither eat nor drink till they have killed him, and now they are ready, waiting for the promise from you. So the commander let the young man depart and commanded him, Tell no one that you have revealed these things to me. I think he should have let them stay there for like 40 days, so that they wouldn't have eaten or anything else in 40 days. That would have been great. Quickly here, sent to Felix. And he called for 2 centurions, saying, Prepare 200 soldiers, 70 horsemen, and 200 spearmen to go to Caesarea at the 3rd hour of the night and provide mounts to set Paul on and bring him safely to Felix the governor. He wrote a letter in the following manner. Claudius Lysias, to the most excellent governor Felix, greetings. This man was seized by the Jews and was about to be killed by them, coming with the troops. I rescued him, having learned that he was a Roman. And when I wanted to know the reason they accused him, I brought him before their council. I found out that he was accused concerning questions of their law, but had nothing charged against him, deserving of death or chains. And when it was told me that the Jews lay in wait for the man, I sent him immediately to you and also commanded his accusers to state before you the charges against him. Farewell. Then the soldiers, as they were commanded, took Paul and brought him by night to Antipatris. The next day they left the horsemen to go on with him and returned to the barracks. When they came to Caesarea, they had delivered the letter to the governor. They also presented Paul to him. And when the governor had read it, he asked what province he was from. And when he understood that he was from Cilicia, he said, I will hear you when your accusers also have come, and he commanded him to be kept in Herod's praetorium. Okay. Amen, amen. We need more God. We need less man in everything that we do and everything that we are and find ourselves in these trying times. I implore you, as I do each and every day, to continue to focus on God, to continue to look at where we are going, why we're going there, but not to be afraid of why things are happening the way that they are happening. God is in control. Man is not in control. Pray for those men and women who are standing up and doing God's work and God's will, especially the pastors. Again, like Pastor Jack Hibbs, who is involved in so many things and who is standing up against a governor who would close down the church in the blink of an eye, keep abortion clinics open, keep liquor stores open, and keep government jobs open for everybody. Anything except the church is what he's doing. There has to be a demonic spirit behind all that's happening. Thank you, Susan. Hope everyone has a blessed day. All right, everybody. If you would, please go ahead and retweet this. God willing, we'll see you right back here